After doctors told Amanda that her baby would never walk, she left her at the hospital and didn't look back. But her fiancé, Jake, couldn't believe it, and they broke up. Years later, Amanda ran into Jake again and saw something she never expected. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, and share this video with your friends. "You're a monster! How could you do this, Amanda?" Jake bellowed, waving his hands in the air until he stopped and started pulling his hair in anger. "Calm down. Our neighbors will hear you screaming. It's not a big deal. We'll just try again and get a good one this time," Amanda said in the most blasé tone imaginable. "A good one! A good one! A baby is not an accessory, Amanda! You abandoned our daughter at the hospital!" "Where is she?" Jake screamed, shaking his red face at his fiancée. He placed his hands on his waist and contemplated what Amanda had just done. Unfortunately, Amanda went into labor earlier than they expected, while Jake was away on a business trip in Florida. She was taken to George Washington University Hospital where she had an emergency C-section. When the new mother woke up, she asked to see the baby, and the doctors revealed that their baby girl suffered from complications during the emergency and would not be able to walk again. Amanda went hysterical. She called them all crooks, yelling and throwing as many things off her bedside table. They had to sedate her before she ripped her stitches. But when she woke up again, Amanda refused any attempt to see her daughter at the NICU. She told every single medical staff she saw that they botched her baby, and she was not going to take that child home with her. After a few days, she left the hospital without the baby and waited for Jake to come back. However, she never imagined Jake's reaction. "Jake, those idiots at the hospital messed with our child, and then they wanted to force us into years of paying for stuff because of their errors. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for a good baby, so we'll just try again, and that's that," Amanda assured Jake, crossing her arms on her chest. Jake focused on the woman he thought he loved for a long time. He opened his mouth to continue yelling, but there was no point. No sound came out. Amanda didn't seem regretful at all, and he had already fallen out of love with her after hearing her speak so cruelly about their newborn daughter. "I'm out! Goodbye, you heartless monster," Jake stated definitively and started walking. He grabbed a few things from their bedroom as Amanda tried to coax him to stay and calm down. But he was done with her. He didn't want to look at her a second longer, so he packed only some essentials like his passport and rushed out the door. "You're being unreasonable. It'll be better during my second pregnancy. We can go to a midwife because doctors are trying to push their science at us," Amanda exclaimed, following Jake to his car. But he was just glad that he went on a recent business trip and had all his essentials packed already. He got into the driver's seat, started the car, scowled at his ex-fiancée banging on his window, and took off. 9 years later, Amanda was walking hand in hand at Book Hill Park with Liam, her husband. They had a terrible doctor's appointment and were now contemplating life. "It's all right. We can adopt, or we can try to use a surrogate. Everyone is doing it these days. That way you don't have to suffer through pregnancy," Liam comforted and smiled at her. She sighed and nodded her head slowly because she had a great fiancé and hoped to become parents in the future. While they walked and looked around this beautiful area, she couldn't help but think back to her past. Just then, she spotted a little girl running around chasing a soccer ball with a few other kids. Amanda smiled at them, although she didn't know why she'd been compelled to stop and stare. Then she looked up at the adults and gasped. A man broke out and walked towards the girl with a huge, proud smile on his face. Amanda stared at them, unable to move an inch, her mouth hanging open. "Sweetheart, what's going on?" Liam asked, looking towards the direction his wife was staring. He sighed. Maybe coming to a family park was not the best idea today. "No, it's..." Amanda began, but couldn't continue because Jake spotted her watching them. At first, he stayed frozen just like she was, but then he clenched his jaw and waved his hand, calling out to his daughter. Amanda never knew that Jake went to find his baby girl at the hospital after he left her. The baby had not been released to CPS yet then, and after Jake told them everything his ex-fiancée had done, he made it clear that he wanted his daughter no matter the prognosis. The staff and a social worker still demanded a paternity test, but everyone was glad that Jake had come for this baby girl, whom he named Aubrey. The doctors told him that Aubrey would most likely not walk. She could feel her legs from what they could gather, but they were weak. Over the years, Jake worked with doctors to treat his daughter and get her better. After a ton of hard work, Aubrey started to move her legs and got even better with time. Eventually, it was like nothing was ever amiss. "Aubrey, it's time to go home," Amanda heard Jake say to his daughter. The girl grabbed her soccer ball and ran to him enthusiastically. Jake picked her up, looked back at Amanda with a scowl on his face, and began to walk away. "Amanda? Who is that man?" Liam asked, narrowing his eyes at her. Naturally, Amanda never told him about Jake or the fact that she had a child before. She wanted to have a new start. What happened back then was not important to her because she had no regrets. "I don't regret it, I don't regret it, I don't regret it," she chanted to herself while Liam tried to get her attention. She was too proud and selfish to admit her gigantic mistake. After a few more seconds, she sniffed, told Liam that everything was fine, and urged him to keep walking. The past will stay in the past, Amanda convinced herself, but the past had come back to haunt her, and karma had come to collect its debt. Eventually, she told Liam the truth, and their marriage imploded a few years later. Meanwhile, Jake and Aubrey were insanely happy, especially when Jake married a woman named Darlene. She was the only mom the little girl ever knew. Eventually, Jake also decided to move away from Washington, D.C. so that Amanda could never find them.